Hi guys, welcome to the first ever Master the Light interview. Today I brought you a special guest. It's actually one of my friends. I assist him very often. You probably know him. He's been featured on retouchist.net. This is from Pratik Naik. He's in Montreal, so a local photographer that I really appreciate, and he's actually really good. So he's gonna give you some good tips, I hope. And so we'll be talking about photography, lighting, what can you do to get better, and a bit about Sasha. So I'll introduce you, Sasha. So hey Sasha, how are you today?
Hi Evans, yeah, good.
Can you tell us who you are and what do you do?
Right now I'm a photographer based in Montreal. I focus mostly on portraits, advertising and dance photography.
Dance photography, yeah, I think that's what you know most for, right? Dance photography?
Yeah, I think in Montreal I'm mostly known for my work for advertising work for Le Grand Ballet.
Yeah. So if you don't know, he's the head photographer for Le Grand Ballet. You've probably seen some of his stuff. I'll be posting a few photos of what you did previously from some campaigns. You're a very experienced shooter. I know you moved from another country to there. Can you give me a bit of history about how you came to Canada to start shooting, or?
Okay, I was born and raised in Ukraine.
Okay.
I've been a professional ballet dancer, and that's how I came to Canada. I moved here with my wife in 2006. And I picked up a camera here and started as a hobby. And I got very excited and fascinated by the process. And a couple of years later, in 2010, I quit my job to become a professional photographer.
Oh. So you were a professional dancer. You were a full-time dancer before.
Yeah, it was my full-time job is a ballet dancer. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then so you basically dance in Ukraine and in Canada?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a specific troupe, or any particular shows you did that were crazy?
So I moved to Moncton, which is on the East Coast,
yeah.
in New Brunswick. There was a small ballet company. It still is Atlantic Ballet Theatre of Canada.
Okay.
That's where I danced, and then I picked up a camera, and so my first jobs were to shoot ballet performances of the company. Actually, even during the show, while I was dancing. During some breaks, I was taking pictures of the show.
Some behind the scenes and all that
stuff.
Yeah,
just backstage stuff.
Oh, cool. And then so that's how you develop your experience with ballet and everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. And did you do campaigns for for that company, or you just?
Yeah, I did a couple of shoots, mostly portraits and a couple posters and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. So basically, it's a grand start to a career.
Yeah, but I mostly was focusing on portraits. I wanted to do portraits. I started shooting weddings and families and everything basically to get started. But mostly I wanted to focus on portraits. There were not many dancers, so I didn't consider myself to be like ballet photographer because you know. And when my wife and I moved here in Montreal in 2015, I thought, well, maybe I should use this experience, you know, to pursue this a little bit more here in Montreal, because you know the ballet company is much larger here, and there are many more dancers here to shoot with.
Yeah, and so you moved here from Moncton to Montreal. Were you already like quit your job, or you were transitioning still from ballet to photographer?
In 2010, while I was in Moncton,
okay, that's what happened.
I quit in 2010. I quit my ballet job and I went full time as a photographer. And it was a quick transition for me.
And did you stop because of photography, or you stopped because of other reasons? Ballet, is it?
Yeah, mostly because of photography.
Mostly photography.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I'll share a couple of shots of Sasha dancing. He was actually pretty lean. Sasha's pretty tall, actually. I'm 5'10". You're 6'6".
Sit up a little.
Yeah, you're 6'2".
6'2", 6'3".
6'2", 6'3". Yeah, so you're a very lengthy guy. It's pretty impressive to see. You're a ballet photographer, which means you like a lot of action, stuff like that. Let's talk about gear, because that's the fun stuff that people like to talk about. What do you mainly shoot with?
My camera right now is Leaf Credo 40. Yeah. I shoot with medium format system, and as a backup I have Nikon D810.
D810
for stage shots and action shots.
Some fast stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you like both systems? Like, do you have a preference, or it just depends on the job, I guess?
I shoot with medium format 99% of the time.
Oh, wow.
So it's just whenever there is a job, that's what I'm picking. That's my main camera. Unless there is a low light situation that's where I'm gonna take my D810. Okay. But that's very rare.
Yeah, I guess, especially because if you don't know Sasha, he's actually an incredible lighter. He's actually featured because of his lighting skills on the Retouchist website. So, do you have an approach to lights that you particularly like, or you just it depends on the situation?
I think I do. I mean, I have go-to setup that I always go to. But for each shoot, I try to do something different.
Okay.
Like even like for regular headshots, I always try to tweak things and try and experiment, and because it's too boring for me to shoot same setup all the time.
And so basically, you have your go-to, which is your comfort zone, and then you rotate between that comfort zone just to explore and actually be different. Cool. And do you have a favorite modifier? I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but.
Yeah, I enjoy beauty dishes, like Mola beauty dish. Right now I got a new Mola settee. But I think my favorite setup is not one, it's two. I like larger source with a smaller source. So very often I mix Westcott umbrella with like Mola Demi, for example. You know, so my light is Mola Demi, and then a bigger Westcott just for fill.
Your key is a Mola, and then the fill is.
Yeah, and they typically come from the same direction, so that's my kind of the setup that I go to.
I see also that you also use a lot of ring lights in your photography. Is that something that is you commonly use, or?
Yeah, very commonly. Pretty much on every shoot I use a ring light just for slight feel to make sure my shadows like not too. Not clipped, you know.
Okay.
So just like 2-3 stops under main light, I would say.
Okay.
Just enough to have some detail there.
Some presence in
the
light.
Yes, just enough to have some information there, because I do a lot of heavy post work, so I need that range, which will allow me to edit them later in post.
Okay. And especially if you guys don't know, medium format is actually a pretty. Those files are huge, so you have a lot of information. So I think I've heard that if ever you do a mistake on medium format, it is the death of you. If you miss focus, I heard it's over. Like that shot is ruined. And
because of the larger sensor, you miss focus a lot. Yeah, especially if you're shooting wide open. So it takes lots of practice. So there is when I just picked up a camera, a medium format camera, like. First shoot was like 90% out of focus, either back focused or front focus. It was very, very hard. But right now it's become second nature. Like it's only one focus point. So, but I don't see any issues right now. Sometimes I'm back focused, as you know, from our shoot. Like sometimes I miss focus, but I mean, it's when you tether, it's easy to correct and reshoot and redo. So
especially when you do your dancers, right? There's like because they move a lot. It's hard. From having tried his camera, you actually press the back focus button, and then the subject moves. So like basically you miss focus, and especially you shoot like between 3 and 5, and then it's over.
Yeah, that's hard. So you need to pre-focus and know where your dancer is gonna be. So you need to like do lots of calculation to nail that focus correctly.
I can't wait to be able to afford it for my camera, because I think these things are pretty expensive. I mean, the digital back is like $10,000, $15,000.
Depends. I never bought new. When I first started, I bought my Phase 1 P30 Plus. Okay. And it costed me $11,000 just for a used kit, and it was like 5 years ago. I mean, I don't think I will ever buy new camera. So I'm very comfortable buying used stuff if it's a good brand. Like my Profoto lights are all used. My medium format is used. My Nikon is used.
And special note, I also all my rig except some stuff, let's say some stands, everything is new. So even my D810, my D800. So it's probably a good money saving tip to give you is that you don't need to buy new stuff.
I mean, you're taking risks, but awesome. I mean, I think it's worth it. It's worth the risk if you can save with medium format. If you can save 10 grand. Yeah, of course. If it breaks, I can send it to a dealer and repair it for 1,000, 2,000. You know, so I mean,
the trade is it's a trade-off.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, but it's a worthy risk, especially seeing those files. If you ever seen like a DSLR file compared to a medium format as a whole, it's hard to explain why. I don't know why, but the print is very different. There's a different feel to that sensor. And as you've explained to me, just the sensor size, you can have as many megapixels as you want, but the sensor size makes a huge difference.
Sensor size, yeah. You can have less pixels, but if the sensor size is bigger, then you get a totally different look and totally different feel. Plus, you get color profiles, right? So with Nikon for Canon, for example, if you work with Lightroom or Capture One, they still don't don't show you those actual colors that Nikon and Canon put in the camera, right? Because Adobe is still a third-party program.
Yeah.
Whether when you use phase one, you have capture one. It's they work together, so you see exactly what you shot, basically. You know, and for me, it's much easier to get right colors with my medium format kit rather than with Nikon, for example. Just but it's just for me. So you have to, I guess, everyone has to make that choice for themselves.
And would you suggest renting a medium format before buying it, or if ever like some people are listening and they are willing to make that step, would you?
Yeah, either rent it or go to events like B3K. This is phase one dealer in Toronto. They sometimes bring free events. Like in Montreal, they come every few months here and do presentations, and you can go and try a camera. Like bring your card and take a couple test shots with the camera, and then play with files and see for yourself.
Okay. So I know, because you shoot medium format and these cameras are a bit complicated to handle, and your lighting also has to be key because you shoot some action, so you have to freeze the subject. Do you have any preferred systems that you'd like to use, or any method of lighting, or?
My very first purchase was, like after Speedlight and everything, was Elinchrom Ranger pack.
Okay.
It was Elinchrom Ranger RX Speed with a head, and I bought a Mola Demi. And I bought it 7 years ago. I still use it right now. It's beat up, but it never let me down. So that's my only light that I had, and I used it for a very long time. When I moved to Montreal, I started doing more jobs I started doing jobs with Le Grand Ballet. I rented Profoto at Photo Service a couple of times. I rented 7A and a couple battery packs, and I really like the simplicity and how they work and build quality. So. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna buy one 7A. So that's when I bought Profoto 7A with two heads, and it's been awesome. I really enjoyed that pack.
Yeah, these things are workhorses. Like, I mean, you can't it's impossible to beat. I mean, I never seen a light that you can actually carry so much and it's gonna last forever, and then you can just like laying around in any conditions, anything where you blow smoke, sand, whatever, it still works. Like, you just plug it in and then press the button and voila. And those heads are pretty light too, so you can actually very easy to boom. So pretty good. Would you consider, right now there's a lot of talk about Godox, the Chinese company, making a big stride into the lighting world, and I know they've been compared to like even Brown Color as independent and like battery packed lights. Would you consider trading maybe, or?
I don't know. I don't think so. Right now, there's so much to choose from. I think on the market. Right now, I have what I need, so I couldn't care less about what else is available.
Okay.
You know, and this was the story with medium format. Once I bought my old phase one, I couldn't care less about anything else. I got what I wanted, and I missed all big announcements, like when the 800 came out, 810, then 850. I think when you shoot medium format, you just don't care about anything else. But it depends on what you shoot, you know. So same thing with lighting. I have what I need. It works for me. So, and that's it. So why would I get something else and then change my modifiers, change speed rings, and that's.
Yeah, it's like the hidden thing that they don't tell you whenever you're switching lights is that you have to change everything about your system. So there's actually a cost to switching lights, and it's really, even going from balance to Bakar, let's say, going from a speed ring to anything else, it's going to cost you a lot of money just to replace those modifiers. It's just the Mola SETI, how much it's going to set you back for just a modifier? Like, I think
$700.
Yeah, just to change your modifiers, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, for the speed ring.
The speed rings.
Oh, speed ring is like $100 to $150.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you have multiple lights, then it racks up pretty quickly. So yeah, cool.
But again, it's depending on what you shoot. So for everybody is, you know, if you're shooting on location, then maybe it's worth. And you need something light and very powered with quick flash duration. Then yes, I'm mostly shooting studio, so for me it's.
You don't mind being physically plugged in and being having control, basically complete control over whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and for on location, I have my Ranger, so it is big and heavy. Sometimes I find, but for now it works.
So lesson simplicity: just don't buy gear you don't need.
Yes, and I always suggest to go with same same brand, same modifiers, just for color accuracy.
Okay.
You know, because when you're mixing different lights, different modifiers, you get those color differences, color shifts, and yeah. So it's sometimes hard to correct.
Yeah, especially when you shoot like you told us before, you shoot medium format. So having consistent colors throughout your shoot, especially with big campaigns and throughout Canada with like a lot of money behind, you want to have a very consistent output of your files.
Yeah, you don't want to worry about that. No.
Yeah, exactly. If we take a quick look at your Instagram, we noticed a lot of cold tones, dramatic poses, and like a very deep shadows. Do you have any influences that brought you there, or it's naturally came to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always like when I first open my image, I always like bring it to cooler tones. I don't know, like it's just more convenient for my eyes.
Okay.
Maybe I'm trying to avoid that actually. I'm trying to learn how to make more like warmer images, because cooler images are fine, but I feel like I'm limited, you know. So if I need to make something warmer, like I want to be able to know how to do this, you know. So because it's a learning process, and I love learning new stuff about photography. So.
But did you have any influences that brought you there, or is it just
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just movies and magazines. That's usually how where you get those color tones, you know, like warmer highlights and cooler like blue or cyan shadows, because they're complementary colors and they are used most often in movies and posters. And so maybe from there, I would say.
Is there anyone in the industry that you look up to, like other photographers, other artists, or anything, any source of inspiration you keep on going just to stay afloat and keep progressing?
Yeah, for names, I can't name drop right now, but I have many photographers in the States who do editorial work and movie posters. So who is it? Let's say Alex Lubomirsky, who does fashion, and Norman Jean Roy, he does like editorial stuff, and you know, and those photographers out there. Ruben Hafanador, I think.
I never heard of that.
That's another guy. Yeah, I have a lot of photographers on Instagram where I go to, and I always like save images just for references. And
you have a very definite style about your photography. Let's say if I compare your photography to many other people, I know it's your shot because the way you light it, the way you pose people, the way you actually frame it. How did you develop that sense of style about your photography?
Well, if you take dance and ballet photography, because this is my background, and because I know this. Because I started this from very young age, since I was 7 years old. I knew a lot about it, and that's the subject that close to me. So because I can bring my expertise and my aesthetics to this, to every shoot. This allowed me to kind of like find that niche.
Okay.
You know.
Basically, bridge your expertise of ballet to your photography, but. How did you develop that the way you compose, let's say, a shot? Like, is it all based on the subject, or it's also based on certain rules that you imply yourself, or some aesthetics that you actually prefer? Let's say some rule of the thirds, or the Fibonacci, or how did you get there?
Well, let's break it in two parts. There is a photography part of it, where you light it and where you compose it, and there is a ballet technique where you have to know. Which you have to know. So once everything is lit, once everything is set up, this part is done. Okay. So we start working on it. If you're talking about dance shot, if you're talking about action shot, because there is a technique, there is some aesthetics. So if dancer is doing something wrong, I can actually able to correct it.
Yeah, because you visually know what it's supposed to look like.
Yes, and because I have this background, you know, we have this connection and trust between each other. So if I tell a dancer that this is not working, so usually, you know, they know what I'm talking about. Okay. You know, so it's not. I've seen a lot of photographers shooting ballet.
I seen. I'm not gonna say names, but I saw the campaign recently you shared, and I was like, ugh. No. So I seen some campaigns recently by a very, very famous model from Instagram that I think the dancing style was completely off, and the points was off, and even I'm not a dancer, and I could notice it was terribly done. So that's
Yeah, like for somebody who knows this, who knows dance, who knows ballet, who've been to a show at least once in their life, they know it
looks like crap.
Yeah, it looks funny, and
Yeah, so that's how you bridge basically your sense of style to the subject that you exploit.
Yes.
So again, because you're a great lighter, and I think people will benefit from learning how you learn how to light. Do you have any tips or any method you use to be able to control or understand light as much as you do?
I'm self-taught, so I started like by watching YouTube and watching behind the scenes and trying to learn from that. Then I joined Professional Photographers of Canada.
Yep.
For a couple of years. I was a member, and I learned a lot there actually. Just by going to conventions and workshops. I really enjoyed going to workshops. I think if you go to workshop and learn one or two things, I think it was worth it. So every time there are lots of like even free events you can go to. So I always enjoy going there. In terms of how I learned, well, you can learn by practicing. Like you have to practice that. I think if you want to improve in lighting, you have to start shooting tethered. I mean, like it's just one of the most important things. I mean, you start shooting tethered, edit while you're shooting, because I mean, don't rely on your post processing later. You know, do it while you're shooting. See the necessary adjustments that you need to make, and go from there. What else? I think I enjoy watching cinematography, like some behind the scenes for movies, and there are a couple channels on YouTube when they break down lighting of different DPs, directors of photography.
Actually, to interject, we're gonna actually bring. He's gracious enough to show us one image and how he got to there with behind the scenes and everything, so it's really cool. We actually will be showing this like right after the interview, so stay tuned and then we'll show you. Okay. Yeah. But so sorry, you were saying?
So yeah, cinematography. I think that's where we should learn our photography.
Yeah.
If you want to use that artistic style of photography.
Yeah, because their stuff has to look natural because it can't look fake. It can't look like overly lit.
No.
Except if it's conceptual, like say like Neon Demon. Demon. I don't know if you saw this. It's a movie that's a lot of gels and a lot of. It's a very crazy movie. But yeah, you're right. I think cinema is maybe the way to go.
And usually they use like the weirdest stuff for lighting, for bouncing, for grip, and and it kind of teaches you like you don't have to have a lot of money to do good lighting, right? So.
That group that this goes to mainly is called Master Lighting Assignments. Do you impose yourself a lot of personal assignments in order to progress with tests and stuff? Do you test like a lot?
Oh yeah. I do some personal shoots from time to time. I do. And
how often? Like, is it once a month, once every 2 weeks?
It depends on how busy I am. Like, I shoot a lot in summer actually. And then takes time to edit, but yeah.
So basically, you'll take a period of your time just to like do your personal work as much.
If I have free time,
yeah,
then I'll most definitely shoot something for myself.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a lesson for everyone. Is like if you don't do your own personal stuff, like I mean, there's no way you can learn. And especially you can't learn on the back of your clients, right? There's no way to test on the back of the clients with their budget. You have to be good at that moment. So
yeah,
that's
and you have to have your. Another thing I would advise is start thinking more about what you shoot rather than how. I know lighting and post-production is very important, but I wish I realized sooner. I wish I started thinking sooner what to shoot, thinking about subject, thinking about personal projects, and paid less attention to lighting and all that, because that's important. But if your subject is, how do I say this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's the common thing of like if your subject is interesting, your photo will be interesting.
Yeah.
And if whatever your message is interesting, people will pay attention.
I mean, if it's a cool subject and it's poorly lit, it's still gonna be a cool photo.
Cool, exactly.
But if it's a boring subject and even if it's well done, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so subject matter is important.
Yeah. How many like Instagram is filled with like pictures of girls, like just and they all look same from photographer to photographer.
Yeah.
You will never be able to pick one and say, okay, that's that photographer.
Yeah, the girls with what's called those LED lights around them and everything is bulky out.
Like whatever, just head and makeup, some boobs, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I mean, start thinking about what do you want to shoot, and something that's relevant to you, something that's close to you, something that you will care about, something you will be good at, something you won't be like expert in. Like it can be anything. Like in my case, it's ballet because this is my background and this comes naturally. So I bring my expertise, my knowledge, and my aesthetics to shoot. So yeah, and that's I'm kind of lucky enough to have that niche, that little niche, and yeah.
Oh, it helps you make a living, so like all glory to you. It's if you're able to translate that into a career that actually makes you live, and then you can live full time from photography. It's really amazing. Not a lot of people can say, "Hey, I'm a full-time photographer, and I do what I love at the same time on top of it." So right now, what we're gonna do is Sasha's gonna bring up to his computer. He's gonna show us how he actually prepped a shoot from actually inception, from like thought to actual finished product. So we'll be showing this immediately, and then we'll come back with the end of the interview in a moment.
Down this image, this group portrait for the Grand Ballet de Montreal. We shot two groups of 16 dancers for their annual brochure. And this right here is behind the scenes shot. Right? So it was lit with three lights. I have big Electron octa, I think it's 7 feet, and another 7-foot Westcott, and ring flash on camera, which you don't see for film. Basically, these two lights.
Actually, we can see it here. We can see yourself.
Oh, that's behind the scene. I was shooting behind the scenes there, actually.
Okay, so that's true. It's not you. Yeah.
So let's. I'm gonna show you some raw files here and some tests that I did for color, and final shots were to be made in black and white. That's how they always do it every year. So I think, let me see if I remember. Here. Yeah, I think this is like one of the raw files. So it's lit pretty evenly, as you see. So that it was giving me a very good base. I think power-wise, they were about same power. I think this Electron octa, I think it was maybe slightly dimmer than this light because this Westcott umbrella is a little bit farther away and it's feathered away, so it needed to be a little bit brighter to eliminate this
darkness.
People standing on the right side. Yeah, exactly.
So basically, you lit it in a way that you expose for the people on the left, and afterwards you expose the people on the right, correct?
Yeah, and so the light on the left, you see it's kind of feathered. You can see the gradient going, let me see it without crop here. So you see this corner here is a little bit darker and then kind of goes lighter and lighter. So it's just about the positioning, it's about how you feather it.
Yeah.
As you see that Electron octa, that big, that first octa, the way it's feathered, it's
is it angled to?
It's pretty much at the right angle. It's I'm not pointing directly at
the people.
It's really like feathered away. And I'm doing that because I don't want that person on the left to be, and the background on the left to be overlit.
Okay.
So by feathering it, I'm allowing that dark gradient on the background and a little bit less light on the person closest to the light.
Okay. So let's say so go back to the behind the scene, the large one.
I'm just gonna do it like.
So
here,
So if you had a subject that was standing in the middle here, if you want to point it out with your mouse. Let's say in the middle here, that person would be very, very, very lit if you compare it to the rest.
Yeah, I think so. Like mostly, yeah.
So basically, you're using feathering to just even out the light, so it's like acting like a sun.
Yeah, creating like that even even spread of light across the frame, because what I want to make sure is when I meter, it should give me same reading across the frame from left to right.
Okay.
So, and I think there wasn't a big difference. Like I think they were all, what am I shooting here? Yeah, they were all f11. Yeah, so if it's on f11 on the left, and maybe if it's like f10 on the right, so it's pretty close. And even if the right side is a little bit darker, then I can always bring it up.
Yeah, just by
a little bit
with a gradient map or
in post. Yeah, and just to show. Yeah, so basically here I have this is Capture One session, and I have different tests like to see how color will look, because even when I do black and white, I still start with the color version, and I do black and white. Usually I do black and white conversion later in Photoshop.
Okay. It
gives me a little bit more flexibility in case I reconsider and decide to have a color version.
Okay.
This way I have that, so it's less destructive editing.
So you shoot always in color, even though you know it's going to be in black and white.
Yes, and I export from Capture One to Photoshop in color.
Okay. So you don't set your camera raw to be black and monochrome.
No. I can't do that.
I can't do that in MIA format. Okay. Yeah. If you would do it with DSLR, would you do it in monochrome?
No, not for a job like this. No. Okay. And you can actually see the effect of ring light here. You can see the halo, a little bit of a halo.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, even in the catch lights,
so
you still that slide.
If you can zoom in on the guy in the middle that's looking away, you can see a bit of halo on the upper left side.
Yeah, and especially on this side, like where it's a little bit, where the background is a little bit darker, you can see that shadow actually. But it's fine because in post I still cut them out. I make the silo mask, like silhouette mask of the group, because I'm gonna be replacing the background. So what else? When shooting groups, I always shoot a couple plates just of the background, just to give me a clean image of of the background only. So it gives me a little bit more flexibility later in post.
Yeah.
So, and from here we get, I think it's important to say, like here I used just a regular seamless background, but we hung it horizontally. We just unrolled it horizontally, just to give me the width.
Yeah, that you wouldn't get
that I need. Yeah. So let's go to Photoshop and open that file. So that's already retouched. So basically, let's turn them all off and start with the background layer. This is my background. I did some retouching on the paper, smooth it out, and
remove the wrinkles and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, all those wrinkles that I get rid of them. I straighten it and make sure I need. Yeah.
Did you use frequency separation on this, or?
Probably.
Yeah.
Most likely I used it. Okay, then I put a group here, and you see a mask. So that's basically the mask of the group. So another thing, why I start in color, because it allows me here, if I need to make a selection, if I need to make a mask, it's much easier to do it in color. So also I use, I add some blue to neutral colors, and just to separate skin tones from the background. It's just easy, when you have the color contrast, it's much easier to make that selection. So basically that's the layer that I place on top of a clean background layer, and then I mask everything else out. There is a dodge and burn layer here on top, just to make just to blend them a little bit.
To make basically the light a bit more even.
Yeah, like sometimes when selection wasn't so good with hair, so just to make it a little bit. And also just to even out the lighting, because some people have lighter skin, some darker, and I do it selectively with faces. And this is a merge layer, I think, with some other adjustments to color.
Some shadows.
I'm not even sure what I did here. So curves layer again. I already had a Asylum mask, so I can manipulate the background and the group independently of each other. So this, I just removed contrast from the background, a little bit more like gradient and darkening for the background layer. Here also some burning. Oh, that's for the podium, you know, because it was way too bright there. And that's the black and white adjustment here.
You notice that you use black and white. Do you have any other versions? Like, how do you make sure that that this is black, but not black and white? Because I've seen some people using gradient maps to make it black, or using just saturation off. Why do you use black and white in particular?
I don't know. Well, gradient map will affect my contrast overall. I only wanted to. Because with black and white, I can independently play with blues. I can make them darker or lighter.
It gives you more control over the
just
image.
a little bit more control. I can control my reds and yellows. So yeah, just a little bit more control.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a little bit of contrast curve just for the dancers.
Yeah.
Just for the group. Here I have. Color lookup for contrast, and here you can have
in the film's illumination.
It's in blending mode, luminosity. Just add some contrast, some noise, and a little bit of color for final. Oh, a little bit of levels for final contrast adjustments. And I always have another group of adjustments, but this is just for color version.
Colors,
Just for color version. So this is a shot that was delivered. If you look, basically, if you can, okay. But I really like how color version looks, and actually that's the color I ended up choosing for my portfolio. Yeah. So once, well, first of all, everybody was retouched before I even started doing anything. So did some minor retouching on the skin. I think I swapped a couple heads here. Yeah. So what I have here, again, just some gradients and selective dodge and burning. And for color, this is my color adjustments. For color, I always like using global adjustments, so I don't have any masks. So I had two same images. So basically, what I could do is just grab this group and drag and drop on the second group, and they will look identical.
Because you shot the same way, so that's the advantage of being consistent.
Yeah, so they look exactly consistency. And the tweaks are very minor. Here, just desaturate some yellows, desaturate some blues, color balance, just adding some blues to the background, to the shadows. Here is a gradient. Gradient map in blending mode hue, just playing with colors and mixing them in weird ways sometimes.
Well, so I think people use this to make the colors even, the skin even, right? So people are not all over the place, but like have one single skin tone.
Some noise. So I'm just gonna zoom in here a little bit just to go over.
And noise of the film look, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. So I like it in noise usually,
especially with the background.
Yeah, and it prints really well. Okay. Yeah. So basically, this is before. This is after. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
That's it.
Sasha, this is the end of the interview. Again, I thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I hope people learned a lot about it. So before we leave, though, is there anywhere that people could find you, learn more about what you do, and your photography?
I'm on all social media, but I'm most active on Instagram.
Yep.
I post behind the scenes and finished images, and I do a lot of behind the scenes in my stories.
Yep.
So follow me there at Kravets Photographics.
Yeah.
You can check out. You can include the link.
Yeah, I'll post a link below right in the description.
Also on Facebook, but it doesn't work as well lately.
Facebook has been
So
very.
for now, it's Instagram.
Instagram. So I'll post a link below so you can follow him. Also, make sure to check out his website. Also, post a link below right there so you can actually see the stories. I know you post a lot of articles in it, so. And
Yeah, my blog. Yeah.
blog.
Yes, if you want to stay up to date with my blog, then I suggest following my Facebook page.
Yeah, cool, awesome. So again, thanks again.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, guys, post them below in the YouTube comment. If you like this, please give it a like so I can actually do some more, and subscribe to be notified of the following videos. Cheers and good luck.
Cheers.